Welcome to Haunt Weekly.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jonathan.
I'm Crystal.
And this is Haunt Weekly, a weekly podcast for the non-distraction entertainment community. Whether you're an actor, owner, or just plain aficionado, we aim to be a podcast for you. And this week, we're going to be telling your haunt story. Based upon probability alone. If you have a haunt that has a backstory, we're covering it in this episode. Because we are looking at haunt story cliches and tropes and talking about ways to either avoid them or make them better. And basically help with your backstory writing ability, because now, in the middle of May, is a great time to be working on this, actually.
Yeah.
This is actually the perfect time of year to be thinking about it. So please stay tuned as we cover that. But in the meantime, if you're not interested in this, I'm sorry.
There are other episodes.
There's plenty of other episodes, 388 of them, in fact. And you can catch them at hauntweekly.com, Haunt Weekly on Twitter, Haunt Weekly on Facebook, youtube.com/Haunt Weekly, and wherever you get your podcasts from. So feel free to check out any one of the other 388 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
But on that note, every week we ask a question of the week. And last week's question of the week was, what's one change you would make in the haunt industry? And so we actually got a lot of really good answers here. Like a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Roberta McClellan said she would like to see less toxicity being eliminated in the haunt industry. And yeah. I think that's an obvious low-hanging fruit, because that's something we've talked about a lot, we're passionate about.
Yeah.
And it's an obvious thing. We do need to get rid of the toxicity. I completely agree.
Yeah, Brian Page said year-round acceptance nationwide.
You know, I've been thinking about it. I think the traditional model of year-round haunting I've said this before, only really works in places where there are a huge population or a lot of tourists.
Yeah.
It's also why a lot of escape rooms have been struggling. It's because they're not very repeatable activities.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people will do a haunt multiple times, but it's not the same experience.
Right.
So yeah, I think that, but I would like to see greater year-round stuff, whatever that entails. Also, I wanted to call out, there was a great conversation, and seriously, go to the facebook.com/hauntweekly, find this post. There was a great conversation with Mika Arnold, Roberta, and others about places to find deep dives on haunting, because basically Mika said, hey, I love your podcast. I love that you do these deep dive in haunt topics. I would love to see others do more of that. I think we need more of that. And people showed up with suggestions. So honestly, that suggestion is a good one, but also it was more of a, hey, you check out these resources. There's a lot.
Yeah. Max Schick said, more people to embrace the less is more mentality.
I agree with that, actually. I think this race to bigger, badder, more modern, more, is a dead end.
Well, okay. So, I don't want to see blackout mazes or black walls. Like, that's too little for me.
But yeah, but in his comment, he was talking about things like, you don't need 30 audio channels to run your tiny haunt.
Yeah, no, you don't have to go so high tech.
You don't, and you don't have to do so much that you put stress on yourself and you make it less certain if things are going to work.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And that's a valid point. And I do think, and the other thing is, I think there is space for like the ultra high tier 30 audio channels haunts, but there needs to be room for, people that want to do commercial haunts of a much smaller scale.
Yeah.
I think we need that space, because baby haunts grow into big ones sometimes, and that's how you keep getting new big haunts.
Yep.
So, yeah, less is more. And Nico Angelo said, remind people that it's just a seasonal gig or a hobby. There's no reason to get a big head or be arrogant.
Yeah.
And you know what? Fair. We do have some people in our community that get really goddamn arrogant. Not going to name any of them by names. In fact, I'm sure you've heard me mention the names many times.
If you think we were talking about you, we probably are.
This song is, You're so vain.
Exactly.
But
of course it's about them.
Yeah. So yeah, I do agree. And that's one of the things we need is industry leadership that isn't self-absorbed.
Yeah.
All right. So this week's question of the week is going to be a fun one. When you're going through a haunt, what makes you roll your eyes?
Mm-hmm.
I know mine right off the bat, and I'm pretty sure you're going to say the same thing. And that is every time I hear a chainsaw fire up, the eyes go. I turn into a 13-year-old being dragged to the mall by their parents.
Yeah.
Do I have to go?
Yeah.
It's the 5th one this week.
That's a pretty bad one. Yeah.
Another one I would say is the inclusion of bad stereotypes or like characters in haunts.
Mm-hmm.
When you see really bad stereotype characters in haunts.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm stepping on. What's yours though?
No, that's fine. I was still trying to think because I read this question 3 seconds ago.
Yeah.
So my answer is not prepared. No. Let's just continue.
We'll just say that second one's yours. It's fine.
Yeah, it's obviously clowns. Like,
oh god, yeah, clowns are an eye roll.
As soon as I smell the cotton candy,
or you walk into the black light glow paint room.
I would love to smell cotton candy and then walk into a gore-filled room because I think that would mess with my brain, like throw me off just enough. Because you smell cotton candy, you know what's coming.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't come.
Yeah, that's with expectations, man. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, what makes you roll your eyes when you visit a haunt? Let us know. HauntWeekly.com, HauntWeekly on Twitter, HauntWeekly on Facebook, and YouTube.com/HauntWeekly.
Mm-hmm.
Check it out there. So, work we did on our haunt this week, nothing. And the reason for that is you had the week from hell.
Yeah, I am still in hell right now.
Yeah. It's commencement. It's graduation season.
Yeah.
Crystal works at a college. She has been completely snowed in, both mentally and physically. And
basically Saturday and Sunday, I rested a lot.
And to put it in context, she didn't come home until late evening most nights last week, and it was still an hour late today.
Yeah, I know.
That's
because there's another event this week.
So yeah,
God damn it.
As suicidal as it is to start work earnestly in summer,
mm-hmm.
I think that's the direction we're having to head.
We're gonna have to.
Well, then the reason being is we've had so much stuff going on
mm-hmm.
between the yarn store, my work, your work, and everything else. We just haven't had a good opportunity. And luckily, summer for both of us tends to be a quieter time, but we've got to get into summer properly.
Yeah.
So anyways, this week's topic.
Mm-hmm.
This will be a fun one because a few weeks ago, we had a news episode last one. And then the one before that, we looked at / reviewed haunt backstories created by an AI.
Yeah.
And we did 5. And a couple of them with some work and some padding and some additional information, because they were all very short, could become decent haunt stories. They needed some work.
Right.
But they could be there. A couple were mediocre. And there were at least 2 that were just dumpster fire bad.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, one of them we literally couldn't even rate because it was such a non-starter.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, we looked at that. And we also asked you all, for some of your favorite haunt backstories. And you came through. We got some interesting backstories to look at, and we've started reading them. We've been working, but with your week, when the plan was this episode, we were actually going to review and analyze some of these stories.
Right. Strengths, weaknesses. Do we like them just in general?
How can they be improved?
Yeah.
How, what makes it good? How could it be improved? Things like that. We were going to go through a whole bunch of actual haunted attraction backstories.
Mm-hmm.
That requires, however, a lot of reading, research, and discussion that with commencement was never going to happen last week.
No. Right now, we discussed yesterday evening whether or not this would be a Redux episode or not.
Yeah.
Because my brain is fried.
Yeah, so we're not able to put in the work that we know we need to do for that. We're going to try to buckle down on it. Maybe we'll get time this week. Hopefully we will. But yeah, there just wasn't an opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
So what we're going to do is we're stalling. We're basically in a stalling strategy.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to not do that episode this week, but instead we're going to look at what we've already read and seen.
Yeah.
And talk about the common tropes and cliches from haunted attraction stories. Yep. Just the things we've seen over and over and over again while examining this. Now, here's the thing. I'll be very clear about this before we jump in. We are not saying do not use these.
Mm-mm.
In fact, when you get down to the last one, you're going to see that we used one.
Yeah.
We're not saying don't do it. Instead, what we're saying is you have to make it yours. The idea here is this. You want to build off the trope, not lean on it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not your crutch to carry your backstory. It's a platform upon which to build your world.
That was nicely said.
I know, and I literally just thought of phrasing it that way. I'm very, very scared at how well my mind worked for a few seconds there. That is very annoying that it can click on like that and do amazing things and then go back to being stupid.
Go back to la-da-da.
But basically, the thing is this. If we describe your haunt backstory in this episode pretty much in total, you might want to rethink things.
Yeah.
You might want to think of ways you can improve, nudge, etc., etc., etc. So, yeah, not saying don't do these, not saying that these are bad. Well, a couple of these are bad. We'll get to those a little bit. There are a couple that are just bad and you shouldn't do.
Yeah.
But on the whole, these are not bad. Just things that it can't be your entire, your entire hook. Which leads us to our first one.
All right. Mad doctor, scientist.
You skipped one.
I did?
Yes.
Oh, it was so short. Sorry.
Okay, but yeah, go ahead.
Well, I will...
Okay, I'll do...
That was a spoiler, apparently. House fires.
Yes.
It kills everybody. And so many...
We see this in so many
fires.
haunts. A fire theme is so common. And my first thought I have at least half the time is, why is the fucking house still there?
Yeah, well, mine is, wow, this looks really good for a place that's supposed to be burnt to the ground.
Yeah, and basically, rarely is that theme carried through the haunt. I have to give credit to that trail haunt we visited on the Mobile run that actually had a house fire story. And lo and behold, you did go up to the burned ruins of the house.
Yeah.
Lo and behold, it was there. I mean, I had a lot of complaints about that haunt, but that was a good...
That was, like, realistic.
That actually made sense with the story. You understood where it fit into the narrative. Because they had basically a facade out in the middle of the woods that looked like a burned down house. And yeah, they tied it together pretty well. But that's something that is the exception, not the rule, when that trope is used. And that, I think, is what is so frustrating about it, is because it's used so much and it's never really expanded upon. Usually, it's someone who is unhappy with the family sets the fire. Could be a servant or criminal or whatever. And then they leave it. Did everyone actually die in the fire?
Yeah. Like, if you're going to do it, at least tell a story.
Yeah, at least tell your story. So yeah, they try to leave it with that. And one of the things that's going to come up in a lot of these tropes is that we really don't like how a lot of these tropes lead to nothing.
Yeah.
They lead to, ooh, did they die? Are they here? Are there ghosts here? You'll have to find out. I'm like, no, they obviously, are still fucking there. And actually, oftentimes part of the problem is they're not. It's completely different, random bad guys.
Yeah.
So anyways, but yeah, we have seen so many fire-themed haunted attractions. It's kind of a weird fetish almost for the industry.
Yeah.
I'm starting to wonder about you guys a little bit. All right, the next one. Okay, the mad doctor or scientist experimented on people trope. Yeah. Okay, I'll give credit where it's due. I've seen it used well. Rise actually uses it to some good effect. Basically, the whole thing is they have a man named Henry Risewell who basically attempted to resurrect his wife and son. And this is actually from the Rise site. Right? My main issue with the story is they don't tell how the wife and son died.
Yeah.
Because that could have gone a long way to characterize Henry Risewell for me. Because if, let's say, Henry Risewell was driving the horse-drawn carriage and had a tragic accident and killed his wife and son but left him unscathed.
Yeah.
Well, he wants to resurrect him because he's racked with guilt.
Yeah. That or, they were sick or mentally ill in some way.
They call it the Black Plague or something, or call cholera or something as it passed through and died from it. And he was mysteriously unharmed by it,
Yeah.
something like that. And it's like, because you can really get the vibe of what Henry Riseborough is feeling with how the death happened.
Right.
Because do you want to make him a vengeful asshole? Well, then, have his wife and, son be killed by a rival, and this is I'll show you moment.
Yeah.
Into that. You can make him vengeful. You can make him sad and
sympathetic.
Sympathetic. Thank you. Sympathetic was the word I was looking for. You can make him that by engineering how the death happens.
Yeah.
But because that's the thing about this trope is basically who the fuck is this scientist and why are they doing it?
Yeah.
Because here's the thing with a lot of these stories. It's like Dr. Such and Such was experimenting with, bringing people back from the dead or was whatever. And okay, why?
Yeah. There's no explanation as to why.
There's no explanation to why or how, even.
Maybe it was just, a god complex that they have, but you can spell that out. You could say he wanted to pretend to be God and bring things back.
You can make it something like, Dr. So-and-so never got love from his father, who was a Nobel Prize winning scientist, and he thought the surest way to show him up was to conquer life. And then started these experiments. Okay, that adds a layer to this guy. We now know that this guy's got daddy issues.
Yeah. Your character should be onions with layers.
Yeah, and part of this, and one of the reasons we're harping on this right now, is because this really helps the actors.
Yeah, because I've got a vague idea of what the haunt's supposed to look like, and it doesn't just help actors; it also helps.
Yeah, but it informs the design process too. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm waiting for the story to be told in full so that I can pull out some elements to put into the haunt.
I guess I gotta get to fucking work.
Basically,
right.
Yes.
All right. Lesson learned. Don't do drugs. No. Actually, those two lessons are completely unrelated.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. But seriously, yeah, by doing this, you inform design decisions you can make, and it makes a more cohesive design from a presentation standpoint.
Right.
Even if the people walking through never read the story, they'll notice and respond to the greater cohesion.
Yeah.
Because you're telling a consistent narrative.
Yeah, and I think everybody's probably familiar with the concept of a running joke. You could have a running theme, like a thing that you see periodically throughout your haunt that ties it all together.
Yeah. And the doctor and mad scientist thing, the harp on this for a minute longer because it's one we're harping on. One thing you could do, if you wanted to have a wide variety of scenes, it could start with being just the scientist's house.
Yeah.
Then you go into the back and you're in the laboratory where he's working. And as you go through that, now you're in the prison cells where he held the subjects.
Yeah.
Like that.
He would throw the most lavish parties in his house.
Yeah.
But not all of the guests returned home.
Yeah. So, yeah, basically, the thing about it is it's just so easy to say, yeah, mad scientist was here, experiment on people, bad shit went down, go through the fucking haunt. Yeah. And it's like, no, come on.
And I don't agree with so many trope characters being recluses. How the fuck are they getting victims if they're out there by themselves?
Yeah, not everyone can afford a hunchback.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's a valid point, is why are they all recluses?
Yeah. They're all the weird guy that everybody stays away from. Well, if you're staying away from them, how the fuck they get you?
Yeah. And why the fuck am I going there?
Exactly. Why do I want to put myself in that position?
Yeah. Why the fuck am I going?
Yeah.
Yeah, what's my role in this story? Idiot?
Yeah. Do I need a sign?
There's your sign. Yeah, no, I mean, that's another good point, is you have to think about the character now you're asking the customer to play.
Yeah. Exactly.
What's their... Because, okay, going back to the lavish part thing, we're hanging on this one for a while, apparently. And that's fine. That's how these go sometimes.
Yeah.
But, you could say he held lavish parties, and that's how he kidnapped people for his... And you got an invitation to the party.
Yeah.
you're invited. And here and even have the fucking ticket booth when you give the tickets out, have them be like party invitation tickets.
Oh, that'd be fun.
That would be, wouldn't it? And do that, and then you go when you live the story of this mad scientist.
Yeah.
That would actually be interesting and fun. Mm-hmm. Just saying, mad scientist, shit went down, there'd be zombies, yo.
Yeah. That's
the difference we're all talking about. That's the trope.
Yeah.
What we just described is a way to flesh out the trope and make it actually unique.
Right.
So this was actually a very good example. And we talked about everything from how to flesh the story out to how to flesh the haunt out.
Yeah. Exactly.
All right, done. Podcast is done. All right. Well, thank you very much for joining us.
No.
Probably should not do that.
Right. No. So the next one, government project gone wrong.
Oh, my God.
We've seen this one so many times. Often involves military theme. It can be risky, though.
Yeah.
And we've seen it done both okay and very poorly.
Yeah. Right now, the military is the military and the government in general is a loaded topic politically.
Yeah.
And also from a PTSD element. I mean, granted, if you were someone dealing with crippling PTSD, a haunted attraction from violence, a haunted attraction probably is not a good thing to be doing, like full stop.
Yeah.
So I don't know how serious that one is, but it is a concern because I know there are a lot of veterans with PTSD, and if they felt ambushed by this material, could be problematic.
Yeah. And like, I personally would not use this theme because it often involves guns, and even fake guns can be traumatic for people, especially with all of the school shootings recently and things.
Yeah.
I just, like, it's a political hot button, and it's just not something I want to re-traumatize somebody with.
And we're not going to do that in our haunt ever, because so many of the visitors to our haunt are, relatively poor black families from various parts who are dealing with the worst of gun violence in the city.
Yeah. We
get the kids that are coming from the neighborhoods that are dealing with the gun violence.
Yeah. And they get the talk.
Yeah. They get the talk, and they've probably seen or witnessed some element of it, or have been close enough to it that they were scared for their own lives.
Yeah.
And we want to give people fun scares.
Yeah, and like in this city, I don't know if it's a universal term, but in this city, those communities say their kids made whatever age they're to. They made it to that age.
Yeah.
It's not, oh, happy birthday,
Jimmy, you're 8 now.
You
Great.
went around
the sun again.
A son again, yeah. It's not something like that. It's no, you had to work to keep yourself here this long.
Yeah, you made it, buddy.
Yeah.
You leveled up.
Exactly. And that's just, it's
a risky one, but here's the thing. I mean, if you're going to use it, once again, the specifics and the details are going to be what's important.
Exactly.
You're going to want to use it in a way that goes beyond generic. I mean, like, I've never understood why in so many of these stories the military creates zombies.
No.
Why the fuck would you create zombies as a weapon?
I don't know. Because, like, most of the time, they're slow moving. There are some fast moving zombies now, but growing up there weren't. It's just, how do you keep them from zombies aren't controllable.
Yeah, and there's no problem you can solve with zombies that can't equally be done with a bomb, pretty much.
Yeah.
I've never understood it. It's always been confusing to me. And the Resident Evil games are the fucking worst on this one, admittedly. Like, I don't understand Umbrella Corp's big plan here at all.
No.
There's like nothing that they're trying to achieve that could not be done infinitely easier, infinitely cheaper.
Yeah.
Like, seriously. They just wanted zombies, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Zombies were their own reward. Mm-hmm. But yeah, seriously though, I this is a tougher one because, like with the Mad Scientist one, you can definitely, there's a clear path to how you go from trope to good story.
Yeah.
Here, it's a little more difficult. Because like movies like Return of the Living Dead had this, but the story wasn't the important bit of Return of the Living Dead.
Right.
It was a character study zombie movie, like most zombie movies are, oddly enough.
Yeah.
Basically, zombies serve as the MacGuffin that forces the people into the same space and forces them to work together or not work together, as the case might be. And that's fine. You can have a MacGuffin, but haunts aren't really great for character studies.
No.
We can do storytelling. We can tell a story, but a character study is very difficult within the confines of a haunt.
Yeah, because I mean, if you're in a normal style haunt, where you basically just do a walkthrough.
Yeah, free walkthrough, not like Vault of Souls or anything like that.
Yeah. Then think of how much time you have to interact with your customers, with your guests.
Each actor probably has under 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
Not even, and that's even probably a bit of an exaggeration.
Yeah.
Probably closer to like 5, but still, the point remains, either way, it's nothing. You have nothing. You're not going to be reading your backstory unless you have a room and a space specifically for that, which we saw that at the haunt in Galveston. Mm-hmm. And we've seen that at other haunts. Which haunt was it in the Shreveport area that did that too? Jesus Christ, it'll hit me in a minute. But yeah, we've seen it, that exact issue done, but still. This isn't a character study.
The one in Mississippi, too.
Yeah.
Run by the theater group.
Yeah.
Because that makes sense, because they're theater.
Okay, another trope we've seen in these stories, the abandoned prison or mental hospital. And I lump these together because they're functionally the same.
Yeah.
And both are really fucking loaded subjects. Mm-hmm. I mean, criminal justice and the treatment of the mentally ill are both very dicey subjects to start fucking around with.
Yeah, and I'm going to throw in their... shit. Never mind. My brain lost the word.
I'm sure you'll figure it out in a minute. But yeah, basically, the idea as you have these spaces where quote unquote undesirable people were stored and assumedly treated very much badly. And now that it's been abandoned or is disused, the place is haunted and the souls and the people are orphanage is what you're thinking of.
Yes, thank you.
I looked up what you search. You're thinking the word is orphanage you're looking for.
I'm like, kid jails. No, that's not it.
Kid zoos. You can go and pet the kids and take one home.
God damn it. Like I said at the beginning of this, my brain is not working at 100% right now.
Well, you pop on down to the child zoo and pick us up.
Jesus Christ. All right. Anyway.
Now we're all for rails. Okay.
Yes. Fine. All right. Jails, asylums, or orphanages, which I haven't seen used, but would be creepy as fuck.
Kids are genuinely creepy. They're the creepiest thing in the world to me. So they're like people, but half the size.
But yeah, they're very loaded. There's a lot of people who have experiences.
Yeah,
these, and they're not good.
And the thing is, like, you can do a story with this.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, the problem with the abandoned prison / mental hospital trope is there's no characters. Mm-hmm. There's nobody there. And that's just, oh yeah, they tortured inmates here and they did bad things and now it's haunted. Okay, that's great. That's literally every haunted asylum or haunted jail. Mm-hmm. Why specifically this one? Tell me about the warden who did horrible experiments. Tell me about that person. Tell me about the doctor that was trying new treatments on patients.
Yeah.
Because the thing is this, you can absolutely, if like I said, other than it being loaded and potentially risky, you can absolutely set a haunt story in an abandoned jail or asylum.
Yeah.
There's no reason it can't be the set other than the loaded issue. But the setting is not the story.
No. It should not be, well, this is where we're at, so that's what happened.
You're in a haunted asylum, spooky shit happens, roll tape.
Yeah.
It's not how this works.
No.
You need to spell out why it's spooky. Get into some nitty gritty. What experiments were they doing? What was so horrible here?
Yeah.
Because, no one believes like Orleans Parish Prison's haunted, and it's pretty shit.
Yeah, it is.
Everyone says how horrible it is. I've not heard any tales of it being haunted.
No.
Why is this one haunted? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? That's what I want to know. Is it so? Yeah, I've always thought that this is a potentially valid setting, but setting does not equal story.
I wish that there were a way to add historical data from the site to the haunt story, like actual history, like a history
You mean like what Eastern State Pen does?
History haunted experience.
Okay, well, Eastern State Pen kind of does.
Yeah, yeah. They need to mesh them together. If they mesh them together,
no, Keith.
Yes,
No, Keith.
Exactly.
No. Yeah, I think that's not a bad idea.
Yeah, like show the horrible things that actually happen at the place that you're at.
Yeah, I think you could actually make something with this.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, and also if you were doing teaching actual history, that blunts a lot of the loadedness of it.
Exactly.
Because now it's not, you're not trying to bury, whitewash, or blackwash. I don't know. What's the opposite of whitewashing?
No.
A history.
Yeah.
You're literally trying to tell the history.
Yeah, and you started out with your story. What you will see inside are things that actually happen to people in this facility.
Like, I think it would be interesting if they did. There was a jail, I heard about this jail years ago, which was a rotary jail.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, the whole thing would rotate to open doors for people.
Mm-hmm.
And it was incredibly inefficient.
Yeah.
Very, very slow. Not a good way to hold a jail, to be honest with you.
No.
Very stupid. Because every time you want to let somebody out, to rotate the whole fucking building.
Mm-hmm.
But the other problem it had was it kept removing people's arms. Because people's arms would get stuck in the bars. Yeah. And then this wall comes and takes it right the fuck off. So that has a haunted house potential written all over it to me. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Now you're going to need a lot of people who can pretend being armless.
Yeah. Yeah.
But seriously, like that could be a haunt story pretty easily. You don't have to look very hard for that one.
Yeah.
All right, the next one.
A mysterious event happened. We don't know what it was. It's not explained.
Yeah, I didn't know how to phrase this because I knew when you were the one that came up with this one.
Yeah.
And I knew exactly what you meant.
Yeah.
Because you basically, what you were saying is a lot of haunts, their backstories. On this day in 1957, some strange shit went down. We don't really know what it was.
Yeah. But now there are people still living here after they died.
But now people see ghosts and zombies and shit here. It's weird.
There are weird noises in it. Yeah. No, that's not a story. Don't use that. It doesn't work.
Here's the thing. Sometimes I know we are like heavy advocates for good backstory, or for just backstory in general. But I think there are times where it is better to not have a backstory.
Yeah.
And if that is how weak your backstory is, just take it down and just keep moving.
Yeah.
Because, you know what I mean? That is not a good one. That's not a story.
No. Go ahead.
A story needs a beginning, a middle, and an end.
Yeah. Now, you could say that a mysterious infection took hold of the people who were here and made them start taking their eyeballs out and chasing people around with them. I don't know. But at least it's got some context.
Yeah, or a batch of infected bread in this town. Mm-hmm. So because ergot poisoning.
Ergot poisoning,
was what I was thinking of, because that's the cheap and easy way to make people act gaga for no reason in the story.
Yeah, well, there was that designer drug
a while back. Yeah.
A while back that made people like attack other people and try to eat them.
Umbrella car.
Yeah, I know, right?
Damn you. So yeah, but no, I absolutely hate this one when I see this, because it's like, why did you even have a backstory?
Yeah.
You would have been better with no backstory.
Yeah.
And just let me go into this blind and maybe figure out some story in the thing.
Yeah.
If you're not going to tell a story, don't tell a fucking story. Don't even try to.
No.
Yeah. So what is this event? What happened? There's a lot of MacGuffins out there. It could be. Mm-hmm. Pick one.
Yeah.
Very least pick one. Ergot poisoning is an easy one. Mm-hmm. But no, I mean, you could say, blue, like, people nearby noticed blue lights coming from the field or whatever. Mm-hmm. Found out later to be some kind of toxic gas that infected the people in the immediate area and made them act crazy and stuff. And then you can kind of go from there. But yeah, come up with a MacGuffin. Don't make it just a mysterious event. We don't know what happened. Where's the mystery, Shaggy? No, don't. It's not a mystery, okay? The fucking mask comes off. We see it was Old Man Smithers. We know how the story ends.
Well, yes. And, you are controlling the story. You're writing the story. You're putting the story out in the world. Make it a good story.
Yeah. Anyways.
God damn it.
Next one. Trapped in a mine shaft. This is a classic for any haunt that is doing an underground theme. Like, literally any haunt doing an underground theme. But yeah, basically, what you hear is a group of miners went into a mine. They got trapped. They were probably there for a long time. Rescue efforts failed. They died, but blah, blah, blah. They still live on inside the caves. Type thing. That story has been done a bajillion times, and I never once learned the name of a single miner.
No. And then it's kind of got the same problem as the jail and the asylum, because it's a group of people and no one is outstanding.
Yeah.
Now, what if it wasn't a mine collapse? What if there was a killer among them?
Or what if the dastardly mine owner knew the mine was running dry and this was his way to collect the insurance, so he dynamited him in?
Yeah.
Something like that, you know?
Yeah, you have to have a villain. Like we talked about this last
You need to have a villain, or at the very least, you need to have a character. Like, theoretically, you could build a haunt story without a villain, as long as the customer gets to be the stand-in for the main character.
Yeah.
I could see doing that. Like, there's no dedicated villain to the story. The villain could just be the spirits that roam this place for whatever reason, you know? And you're the intrepid reporter going in to find out the truth about this haunted forest or whatever. But why am I doing it? What, you know what I mean? Now you've got to work on me.
Yeah, and now I'm trying to picture a reverse haunt where everybody inside, the actors, are just scared of the customers and running away. If the customer's the main scary thing, it's like,
well, no, the customer's not the main character, not the main scary thing.
Yeah, I know.
But no, that would be absolutely hilarious. A reverse haunt where basically everybody, all the actors, their job is to act as scared as possible and like hide from the customers.
Can't see me.
Like, drop panels. Put it back up. I almost died there. Hear muffled from the other side of the wall. Okay, this has to be one night in a haunt somewhere. Come on, just one night.
You could do it for kids.
You could. Bring the kids in costumes, have the actors pretend to be scared. This is great. This is money here. This is money. I think there's money here. I'm serious. All right, the next one, though.
Disappearing people. Another one that's not a story, because people just certainly...
People go into these woods and mysteriously disappear.
People went to this event and never came back.
People would go visit this abandoned house and never came back.
Mm-hmm.
Man, people be fucking disappearing a lot around these places, don't?
Yeah.
Like, people don't disappear that much, man.
Well, okay.
But they did in the 1800s, to be fair. But to be fair.
So, I don't think some of the disappearances get the coverage that it needs.
True.
But
haunts will have you believe like 80% of the town disappeared.
Yeah, like a whole group of people disappeared at the same time and nobody knows where they went.
It's kind of how Cabot Cove is the fucking murder capital of the entire world, man.
Yeah.
Like 900 murders per 1,000 people in that town.
Yeah.
It's that type of problem.
That's crazy.
But no, in all seriousness, though, yeah, why are the people disappearing? Why did they go there?
Yeah. And why am I going to go to you if I think I'm going to disappear?
Yeah, give me something. Give me more.
That actually ties back into the things, the idea of not making a threat inside of a haunted house that you can't carry through as an actor. You don't want that same kind of thing in your backstory.
Yeah.
Like, if you can't actually make people disappear and don't fucking do it, then don't use it.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Never, I mean, and so yeah, expanding what Japes was talking about with never make a threat that you can't actually do. Yeah, that should carry through into your marketing, into everything. I agree. I agree. Which is why, people disappeared. You're going to explore the hallowed grounds of whatever manor or whatever forest or blah, 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 right? Will you be the next? You can ask questions.
Yeah.
Questions are fine. Don't make threats.
Yeah.
We promise you won't make it out alive, type thing.
Yeah.
All right, Chief, so when I do I get my money back? Is that how this works? You promised to unalive me in the haunt, and I'm still very much alive. I just know that word drives you crazy.
I know.
Oh, well.
I'm not hip.
Okay, the next one. Anything related to a religion. I'm just going to lump it all into one.
Yeah.
Voodoo practices, witchcraft, devil worship, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because A, you have to be careful to avoid actual religions, which include voodoo, paganism, Wicca, Satanism,
Yeah.
and a whole slew of other religions I don't even know the names of.
Yeah.
And it's always been kind of weird to me, like how you don't see voodoo characters in New Orleans area haunts.
Yeah, you do.
Well, not often. Not as often as I see them elsewhere.
2 of the 3.
Okay, I don't consider Rise or 13.
Okay.
I meant like directly New Orleans.
Oh, okay.
Like that would include basically our haunt and mortuary at this point.
Well, yes. If you take the literal definition of New Orleans.
But the reason I say that is because that's where there is a semi-insignificant voodoo population.
Yeah. Yeah. It is a practiced religion here.
Yeah, it very much is.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I was raising that point.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, I get it. Like, we think of Rise and 13th Gate as they're Southeast Louisiana haunts.
Yeah. They feel like our home haunts.
Yeah,
not our home haunt, but
even though they're both 90 minutes the fuck away.
Yeah, I know.
No, I understand why you said that, but yeah, be careful about that. And also, if you're going to touch any religious themes, the religion isn't what's scary.
Yeah,
that's very fucking important.
Yeah, and I mean, this is something that we've talked about before. Is that be sure to think, why is this scary? Is it scary because people don't understand it? Or is it scary because it's actually scary?
Yeah.
You know?
Like a good example of this would be like you have you had the voodoo practitioner and they're doing voodoo things. And that's what's scary is they're doing voodoo things.
That's not scary.
That's bad. That's bad. It's A, not scary, and B, it's just bad and offensive. But if it's scary because, I don't know how to make this one unoffensive now. I just realized I painted myself totally into a fucking corner here. But let's say that he was, he was seeking a human sacrifice. Which, I mean, that's not part of voodoo, but,
No, but making zombies is.
Okay. But yeah, okay, he's trying to make zombies. All right.
Okay.
So make you a zombie in particular.
There's a legend of...
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how true that is, honestly.
I don't know either. I watched a documentary in high school that had it in it.
And remember which high school you went to, backtrack.
Exactly, which is why I don't really know if that's true.
Yeah. This is what happens when you go to a school that doesn't have enough people to put together an actual orchestra.
Yeah. Fair.
Like, at all.
Yeah, so I don't know how to make this one scary without offending people.
But basically, you can do things like one idea that I've seen is just invent a new religion, invent a new cult.
Oh, yeah. Yes. That is true. Don't use ones that exist. Make up your own. Put your backstory with it.
Like, I think it would be hilarious if there was this charlatan who created a cult, like charlatans often are wont to do, worshipping some random deity that lived on the property. And he got a bunch of people in and got hundreds of people on the property, took all their money, and then was shocked to learn it was actually true.
Yeah.
And this deity comes and takes control of her. That could be a story.
Yeah. Well, and that plays in... Everything's complicated. Everything's complicated. Because that plays into the idea of, people make up their own religions.
People do.
I know, exactly.
I have watched a lot of very interesting television with Ellie.
Yeah. I wonder if the flying spaghetti monster people would be offended by a haunt doing a flying spaghetti monster.
I don't know,
I
actually.
don't think so, because I think that they would just find it hilarious.
But also, how do you make flying spaghetti monsters scary?
You could make it scary.
That's gonna take some fucking work.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, basically, I generally don't advise incorporating anything from an actual practiced religion.
No.
But likewise, make sure that the religion is not the scary thing by itself.
Yeah.
Like worshiping that deity in the story. I said, the fact they did that is not scary. The fact that the deity is real and is now taking over people and doing spooky shit, that's the scary bit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And be sure to say what that spooky bit is.
Yeah.
Don't leave it out.
Exactly. Good point. Okay. And the final one.
Carnival and clown stories.
Guilty. Well, carnival story, at least.
Yeah. But we don't put clowns in our haunt. We've had one once for one night. But stories of evil circuses and carnivals that have been done a lot.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time it's just it's carnival. Why? Why is it evil? What makes it evil? Tell me. I want to know.
See, the thing is, I am a huge fan of traveling carnivals and things like that.
Yeah.
I if I see one in the area, I always fucking go.
I know.
Much to everyone else's chagrin.
I'm usually with you.
But I love it, even though I've gotten to a point where I don't do a lot of the rides and stuff. I'm mostly just wandering around and taking in the sights and sounds and maybe getting some of the foods.
Yeah.
And things. And probably riding the dark ride that's there. I mean, there's always one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably doing that.
Either a dark ride or a House of Mirrors.
Yeah.
Which is adjacent.
Yeah, I'm doing the spooky shit they have there. But
yeah,
the days of me hopping on the Gravitron are not so common anymore.
Never been on one, true story.
Really?
Yeah.
You have never been on a Gravitron?
Nope.
Huh. I did not realize that.
Yeah.
I gotta admit, I was super worried because how easy I get dizzy. I was super worried. It would be like vomit central for me.
That's why I've never been on one.
It doesn't actually cause me dizziness.
Huh.
It's and in hindsight, it makes sense because when you're looking straight ahead in it, you're seeing the same thing. It doesn't look like it's moving.
Okay.
You're in an enclosed space.
So you get into the Gravitron and it spins around and it transports you into this world of monsters.
Sure, we'll work with that. But yeah, we use a carnival story rather as ours.
Yeah.
Bernie Baxter's Traveling Sideshows, the full name of the haunt.
Yeah.
And the whole idea is Bernie Baxter was a carny.
Yeah.
And admittedly, I haven't rewritten. I did write the story once upon a time, but I have got to rewrite it and put it down again in full length because I don't know where it is.
Yeah.
No, it's probably 3 laptops ago now.
At least, yeah. And it was before Google Docs existed.
Yeah, so it wasn't online.
No.
So I know I did it once. I want to do it again. But basically the story with Bernie is that he was a carny. He was a competitor to others. But a bigoted crowd somewhere in Louisiana basically ran a lynch mob on him and his crew. Killed everyone. And he vowed to get revenge. And has been extracting revenge ever since, as coming back from the dead.
Oh. That is not what I thought our story was.
Well, it's the high notes of it.
Yeah. No, I thought he was going and finding the biggest and baddest
attractions,
people in history, monsters, like actual monsters, because people are monsters, and bringing them back.
Yeah.
Which could be the revenge part of it.
Yeah. But the main thing is, at least with that, we know why this carnival is evil.
Yeah.
Why are they evil? Why are they doing it? Names, events, times. Come on, tell me why this is a thing. And it's funny because for this, I remember our favorite carnival themed haunt we went to, I think was Freaks of Fear.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I want to look up their backstory, and I actually found it. And their backstory, even though they are very directly, well, I mean, they're not in operation anymore. They haven't been in operation for 5 years, apparently.
Apparently, we caught them at the end.
Apparently, we caught them at the last run. I mean, but basically, I looked up their story, and I found it on a archived elsewhere site, on a site elsewhere. And if that story is what they were telling, that is the most batshit insane. I mean, it involved a plane that could fly faster than the speed of light and tore
Maybe that was the thing that. The giant bird thing that flew over our heads. And
it tore open a thing in space-time and released this shit, which took out half the planet and made the other half insane. And it's like...
Yeah, none of that made sense with what we saw.
No, I mean, I mean, Jesus Christ, they had the ringmaster character in the first fucking scene.
Yeah.
They could have just characterized the ringmaster and had a pretty easy walk of it.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, I want names. I want events, and like I said, Freaks of Fear did not use this trope, which is the haunt that, like, definitely should have.
Yeah.
But yeah, what drew us to this trope, personally, with our haunt, was it gave us a big overarching story, and that let us have bunches of little stories underneath that we can introduce characters, Bernie's friends, basically, every year.
Exactly.
And that gives us so much flexibility to make the haunt whatever we want, whenever we want it.
Right. And that's... so I call that, and it's because I saw it somewhere, Pinky and the Brain style of storytelling.
Yeah.
Because what you do is you pick the biggest canvas you can imagine and then put two characters in the center of it, or one character.
Yeah.
But they're able to create the world around them.
Yeah, Pinky and the Brain, for those who haven't seen it, basically, they're two Latin mice trying to take over the world, but every episode is a completely different story because the ways in which they try to take over the world are limitless.
Yeah, and also, this is actually, for the Sandman fans out there, Neil Gaiman said in an interview that that's why Sandman exists. He thought of what is the most expansive canvas I can give myself
dreams.
To write.
Literally dreams.
Yeah.
The world of dreams.
Yeah.
That's everything.
Yeah.
You literally can write about anything.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's even more freeing than ours.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, so I think that's something that should be thought about when making your overarching haunt backstory. And once again, going back to Rise, basically, they can do with their backstory anything that can be possibly connected to Henry Rise while trying to resurrect his family.
Yeah. Oh, and also with that Neil Gaiman, go and listen to David Tennant's podcast interview with him, because if you like his stories, it is worth listening to because it tells how he makes his stories.
Yeah.
And since we're talking about stories and good stories, go listen to it.
Neil Gaiman doesn't write good stuff. Yeah, he absolutely does.
He does.
Fucking around. Quit fucking around and end the podcast because we're done.
I know. We made it.
On that note, everyone, thank you very much for spending the past 50-ish minutes with us. Greatly appreciate your time. Please, if you need more Haunt Weekly, check us out at the places we exist. HauntWeekly.com, Haunt Weekly on Twitter, Haunt Weekly on Facebook, and YouTube.com/HauntWeekly. You can also find us wherever you get your podcasts from, Apple Podcasts, Google Play Store, wherever. We're not picky. Until next time, I'm Jonathan.
I'm Crystal.
And we will see you all next week. Hopefully, we'll have the time to put together the episode we want. We'll see y'all then.